Imagine a lonely orphan boy, shivering in the cold, looking for just one place to sit. He walks into a fancy restaurant where the richest man in town, a billionaire CEO, is having lunch. With trembling lips, the boy whispers, "Sir, can I sit here?" What happened next left the billionaire in tears. Stay with me till the end, because this story will touch your heart in ways you never imagined. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more life-changing stories. Just like this one, the restaurant was filled with the sound of clinking glasses, soft classical music, and the laughter of wealthy businessmen. But for one man, Mr. Arman Khan, the billionaire CEO known for his empire that stretched across industries, it was just another dull lunch in a life full of empty victories. He sat alone at his table, scrolling through numbers on his phone, uninterested in the chatter around him. People admired him, feared him, even envied him, but no one truly knew him. His life was surrounded by luxury but stripped of warmth. For he had lost his wife in an accident years ago and had no children of his own. As he pushed the food on his plate absent-mindedly, he suddenly noticed movement from the corner of his eye. A small boy, maybe 10 years old, wearing clothes too thin for the season and shoes with holes in them, entered the restaurant. The waiters immediately frowned and moved toward him, ready to throw him out, because the boy's presence clashed with the elegance of the place. Yet the boy's eyes held no mischief, only a kind of desperation mixed with innocence. Before the waiters could stop him, he nervously approached Arman's table, clutching a worn-out book in his hands. His voice was trembling, barely audible, over the music. When he said, "Sir, can I sit here?" the restaurant grew silent, as if the entire room was waiting for Arman's response. Arman lifted his gaze from his phone, and for the first time in a long while, he really looked at someone. The boy's eyes were tired but gentle, his hair messy, his cheeks slightly dirty, but there was something pure about him. The billionaire, used to arrogance and greed in every corner of his life, found himself staring at humility embodied in this child. One of the waiters whispered, "Sir, shall I remove him?" expecting the CEO to nod, but Arman surprised everyone. He gestured to the seat across from him and said calmly, "Let him sit." The boy's face lit up with relief and gratitude, as if he had been given the most precious gift. He slid onto the chair carefully, afraid he might be asked to leave again, and placed the old book gently on the table, holding it as if it were his only treasure. Arman, intrigued, asked, "What's your name, son?" The boy looked down shyly and replied, "Rehan, sir. I didn't mean to disturb you, I just needed a place to sit for a while." His voice cracked as if he hadn't spoken much to anyone in days. Arman noticed the way people were staring, whispering judgments, but he ignored them, focusing only on the boy. He signaled the waiter to bring food. "He'll eat with me," Arman said firmly, and though the waiter hesitated, none dared to oppose the richest man in the city. When the food arrived, Rehan's hands trembled as he picked up the spoon. He ate slowly at first, almost with reverence, as though he wasn't sure if it was real. Arman felt a strange tightness in his chest as he watched the boy savor each bite like it was a blessing. "Where are your parents?" Arman finally asked. The boy stopped eating, looked down at the book, and held it tighter. They're gone. "Sir, I live at the orphanage, but sometimes I come here near the market, because it reminds me of my mother. She used to bring me to places like this, not inside, but outside. She would tell me that one day, if I studied hard, I could sit in places like this too." His words pierced Arman's heart. He, a man with everything, suddenly felt empty compared to this child who had nothing but memories and hope. The boy continued softly, "This book, it was my father's. He used to read stories to me every night before he died. I carry it everywhere so I don't forget them." He opened the book and showed pages filled with old handwriting, small drawings in the corners, a family's love imprinted forever. Arman reached out and touched the pages, his hands shaking. He remembered his own childhood, the warmth of his parents, how he had buried himself in work to numb his pain when he lost his wife, and how he had built skyscrapers but lost the ability to feel. And here was this boy, with torn shoes and a hungry stomach, who still carried love in his heart stronger than any wealth. "Do you like stories?" Arman asked, his voice softer than usual. Rehan nodded eagerly, his eyes brightening. "Yes, sir. They remind me that even sad lives can have happy endings. Maybe one day, mine too." At those words, Arman's throat tightened, and for the first time in years, tears welled in his eyes, though he quickly blinked them away so no one would see. He changed the subject, asking, "Do you go to school?" Rehan hesitated. "Sometimes, when I can, but often, I have to work at the mechanic shop nearby to buy notebooks." The billionaire clenched his jaw, anger bubbling inside, not at the boy, but at the cruel world that allowed such innocence to struggle, while people like him wasted millions on things that didn't even matter. He had lived in loneliness despite wealth, and now sitting across from him was a child who had nothing, yet still dreamed. The restaurant carried on as usual, people watching curiously, but eventually returning to their meals. But Arman felt something shift inside him. He found himself asking Rehan about his dreams, and the boy said shyly, "I want to become a teacher, so that no child feels forgotten, like me." Those words struck deeper than anything else Armand had heard in his boardrooms. He excused himself for a moment, pulled out his phone, and called his secretary. His tone was sharp and commanding. "Cancel my afternoon meetings. I have something more important to do." Then he turned back to the boy, who looked puzzled. Armand smiled faintly and said, "How about you spend the rest of the day with me, and I could use some company." The boy's eyes widened in disbelief, as if he couldn't comprehend why a man like this would want his presence, but he nodded slowly, clutching his book close. That single moment, when a lonely billionaire chose to listen to a forgotten child, was the spark of something life-changing for both of them, and though neither of them realized it yet, destiny had just written the first page of their story together. Armand walked with Rihan through the busy streets, holding the boy's small hand as if afraid to lose him. For the first time in years, the billionaire felt a strange peace in his heart. He bought the boy new clothes, warm shoes, and even a backpack full of school supplies. Rihan's joy was pure, his laughter echoing like music Armand hadn't heard in a long time. Later, when they sat together on a park bench, Rihan suddenly looked at him and said softly, "Sir, you remind me of my father. He used to hold my hand just like this." Those words pierced through Armand's soul, and before he could stop himself, tears began rolling down his cheeks. The boy gently wiped them away with his little fingers, whispering, "Don't cry, sir. You're not alone anymore." In that moment, Armand realized how empty his billions had been without love, and how this orphan, with nothing but a heart full of hope, had given him more than money ever could. Hugging Rihan tightly, Armand whispered, "You'll never be alone again, son." That day, the lonely billionaire decided to adopt Rihan, and both their lives changed forever.